Now, most people wait for the world to make sense before they start taking action. With that said, you have to ask yourself the question, are you built to win, regardless what is happening around you? Because if you don't have the discipline, if you don't have the self-control, then you're going to be controlled by fear, by doubt, by worry, by circumstances, by distraction. And the people that are controlled by those things, they lose. Not just sometimes, but all the time. So in this video, we're going to talk about how to develop the discipline so that you become unstoppable in a world of uncertainty. Now, in my book, Winning Within, currently available on Amazon, by the way, I talk about one of the biggest issues we have in our society. And you're not going to believe it. Because it's not the government, it's not politicians, it's not corruption, it's not the administration, it's not a lack of policy, it's not the so-called greed, it's not a lack of resources, but it's a lack of belief within ourselves. Now, I'm not saying none of those things that I just named were a problem, because they are a problem. They're just not as big of a problem as people make them out to be. But one of the biggest issues and problems that we have in our society is a lack of belief within ourselves. Because the worst belief you can have is a self-limiting belief. To believe you are limited in some way, shape, or form. In life, we don't see things how they are, we see things how we are. So how you view the world is a reflection of how you view yourself. It's almost like a mirror that shines its image back to you. If you don't see the value within yourself, it's going to be very hard for you to see the value outside of yourself. I want you to think about this. How many people do you know that have a positive self-image, but is consumed by negativity? I can't think of one person. It's because when you're consumed by negativity, all you're going to see is negativity. When you truly have a positive self-image, it's not that the negativity is not there, but you choose to look for optimism. Most people don't fail because the world is uncertain. They fail because they're uncertain. They're uncertain about themselves. They're uncertain about their talents, their gifts, their passion, their purpose. They're uncertain about what they want to do with their life, who they were meant to serve. And they don't take the time to discover within themselves any of those things. They don't take the time to discover their purpose, to discover their passions, to discover what they were created and meant to do. And because they lack that uncertainty, or because they're uncertainty, they lack clarity. And because they lack clarity, they lack discipline. Clarity always creates discipline. Think about it like this. I want you to imagine that you're a home builder. You're the baddest home builder that ever lived, right? And someone comes to you and says, I want you to build my dream home. Like, I just want it to be amazing. So you sit them down and you pull out your blueprints and say, between these 5, which ones do you like? I don't know. I kind of like that. I don't know. Just build a home. Just build it. I don't care. Just build it. I heard you're the baddest one in the world. I'm sure I'll like it. Just build it. It's going to be kind of hard to build their dream home without really understanding what they want. Now imagine if this person comes to you and says, now I done heard you're the dopest home builder ever to live. You can throw away all your blueprints. I got my own. And they lay out their blueprint. It has the materials. It has the specifics of how many windows, how many bedrooms, how high they want the ceilings. I want this in the backyard, this in the front yard. And it gives you details of exactly what they want inside their home. It's going to be a lot easier to build that home. Clarity is like the blueprint. Discipline is like the builder following that blueprint. If you, the builder, don't have a blueprint, then you're going to make mistakes. You're going to waste material. You're going to waste time. But if you, the builder, has a blueprint, every action is going to be purposeful, which is going to lead to a well-built home. And it's going to give them the dream home that they want. In life, when we don't have clarity, we drift. We consume more than we create. We react more than we act. We choose comfort over character, poverty over prosperity, problems over peace. We choose fear over freedom. And even worse, we become a victim of our own beliefs. Because in life, we aren't prisoners of our circumstance. We aren't prisoners of our conditions, but we're prisoners of our own beliefs. I was fortunate enough to have a kid at 17 years old so I can become the person I need to become, so I can serve the people I need to serve. This is not a mindset that I was born with. This is not a mindset that I just automatically had. But this is something that I had to create within myself. This is something I decided to believe. It's the law of polarity. For everything everything has an equal opposite. So you can choose to think in negativity or you can choose to think in positivity. And there were moments in my life where I allowed my circumstance to control me. It controlled my attitude, my beliefs, my ideas, my behaviors, my mood. And I allowed that circumstance to have so much control that I just thought my life was the way it was and I just wasn't going to win at all. But the conditions and the circumstance wasn't my problem. It was my perspective and my beliefs. And it wasn't until I heard Tony Robbins say that life doesn't happen to you, but life happens for you, that I began to change how I viewed my situation. Because I viewed everything as life happening to me, when really everything was happening for me, because it allowed me to become the person that I need to become so I can serve the people that I was meant to serve. So if you want to win in a world of uncertainty, the first thing you have to do is start winning within yourself. Now, what does that even mean, right? You win within yourself by developing the discipline. So before you conquer the world, you must first conquer yourself through discipline. Now let's talk about what discipline is. Most people view discipline as a series of actions and behaviors that you're doing consistently. And that's kind of part of it. But discipline is more than just a series of actions and behaviors, but it's more so who you become. It's the process of becoming the person you need to become so you can do the things you need to do consistently. It's not a short-term sacrifice, but it's a long-term commitment and evolution to who you're becoming. It's aligning your actions with your identity. That's what discipline is. But the reward to discipline is freedom. It's like what Aristotle said. Aristotle said, through discipline comes freedom. And freedom is not just doing what you want when you want, as a lot of people think. If anything, that's far from freedom. But freedom is self-control. Freedom is self-discipline. Because the more you're tied to your emotions, the less free you'll be. The more you're enslaved to your emotions, the less free you're going to be. So self-discipline is a non-negotiable in life. It's not something that you really get to choose if you want to be successful. Because if you don't control your mind, if you don't control your emotions, your attitude, your beliefs, the world's just going to control them for you. So you have to start winning within. You have to build a certain level of certainty within yourself and a certain level of discipline. It's a certain person that you have to become in order to start winning. You have to do that first within yourself, and then you'll be able to conquer everything outside. So let's talk about 3 things for thriving in a world of uncertainty. Number 1 is you want to train your mind and your body. Developing a consistency in the gym has the potential, because not everybody gets it, not everybody understands it. Some people are very vain, and the most benefit they get is vanity. So this has the potential. So developing a consistency in the gym has the potential, if you're intentional, to transfer to other areas in your life. Because truth be told, the body doesn't like exercise. The body wants to run, scream, and hide at the thought of exercise because your body is always trying to protect you, right? And it views exercise as a threat because exercise is painful. When you exercise, you're ripping the muscles, you're tearing the muscles. That's why the body goes and builds the muscles back stronger. As it rips the muscles, it builds them stronger. So next time it doesn't have to go through that, and it can be prepared for the adversity that you put it through and the pain that you put it through. So when you can develop enough authority to say to the body that I'm in charge and you will listen to me, you develop a standard within yourself that goes far beyond exercise. So you want to make sure you're training your body every single day. It doesn't matter if it's 10 minutes, if it's 30 minutes, if it's 15 minutes, if it's 5 minutes, as long as you're doing something hard to train your body, because it trains both your mind and your body in reality. As long as you're doing something every single day to train that, you're already ahead of the game. Next, you want to make sure you're reading something every day. You want to read things of value, not these fantasy books. Now, I have nothing wrong with people who read fantasy books, but this is about discipline. This is about becoming the person you need to become so you can thrive. And you want to read books on purpose, on principles, on people, on profits, on business. You want to understand something more about yourself, something more about life, something that's going to help add value to you so you can become a valuable person to the future, to your future self. So you want to make sure you're reading every day, training your mind and your body. Next, you want to become a creator and not a consumer. Most people, they spend time consuming, scrolling, reacting. But producers, they create, they build things. They build themselves into a valuable person because truth be told, the more you build yourself up into a valuable person, external circumstances is not going to matter. External conditions is not going to matter. Because number one, you have a certain level of belief within yourself that you are valuable. And because you have been doing the work, you are a valuable person. And then society is going to reward you for that value that you have built within yourself. So you want to become a creator and not a consumer. Now understand there are times where you have to consume a little bit more than you're creating because you're building your foundation. But it should always be in the back of your mind to become a solid creator and not a consumer. We should always be consuming. Reading is consuming. It's consuming other ideas from other people. And when you're reading, you're surrounding yourself with another person's ideas, which allows you to take your mind outside of yourself and exit the walls out of your current beliefs and step into their reality and ask yourself questions that you might not have thought to ask yourself. Environment is the most powerful influence in the world, right? So I get it that you have to consume sometimes, but you always want to make sure you're creating while you're consuming. And like I said, there may be periods where you're consuming more, and that's okay. But make sure you're working to be able to become a creator. Last, you want to make sure you master your communication. Now, when I talk about communication, I'm not just talking about communication externally to your friends, to your family, to the world, because those are important too. But you first must master that internal communication. Because if you don't have a solid internal communication and a process for how you work and how you think, and you don't master those internal thoughts, then you'll never produce the things that you need to produce. Right? Remember, we don't get out of life what we want, but we get out of life who we are. So if who you are on the inside is a person who lacks confidence, who's weak, who doesn't see the value in themselves, then those are the actions you're going to do. Because who you become is how you're going to behave, and how you behave is going to determine your results. And those results are going to reinforce who you are. So you want to master that internal communication. Communication is the most valuable skill that you can ever develop, and is the most invaluable skill because it's never going to, quote unquote, go out of business. So you have to master that communication. So look, the world is not slowing down for you. It's only going to get faster, only going to get more chaotic, and it's only going to get more uncertain. So you have to build the value within yourself, because when you build the value within yourself, it doesn't matter what's happening around you. You can live in a world of uncertainty. It's not going to matter to you because you're going to dominate it, because you've built the value, because you become a certain type of person, because you've become a disciplined person. So you want to make sure you train your mind and your body. You want to become a creator more than a consumer. And you want to master your communication. You do those things, you become the disciplined person you need to become so you can serve the people you need to serve and get to the place that you are trying to get to. But I hope you got value out of this video. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you share with somebody else you feel might be able to get value from this. And I'll catch y'all in the next video.